Hey, good morning, everybody. I wanted to share with you another update on my book, From Insight to Upside. Would love all of you to subscribe if you haven't already. For subscribers, thanks. And you can pick up my book on Amazon and follow along. But here's a preview of Chapter 7. Chapter 7 is where I start to get into the heart of valuation. And I start with the tried and true methods that people hear about on television that often I would say are the shortcut methods, but methods nevertheless. And I want to talk about PE, price to earnings, relative valuation, and also to the extent that it's something that's relevant, asset valuation screening. Uh, I say this in the chapter. It is the most important element of investing. There's really nothing more important than valuation, and you can quote me on that. If you disagree that valuation is not, if you disagree, not the most important thing, let's have a debate on it. I'm ready for you to tell me. And I don't want to be combative about it, but everything centers upon what the stock is worth. You know the price you're paying, and there are people that would argue that the price you pay is what it's worth, but that's only to the person selling it to you. Remember, you're buying a piece of a business. We've talked about that. So all elements of your buy and sell thesis are basically contingent upon asking this critical question: what is the stock worth? And then determine if the stock price is departing widely enough from that price that you've determined to offer a margin of safety. We talk about that a lot. So if you figured out that the stock is worth $10 and the market's selling it to you for $10, probably a great business, maybe not, but you've determined it's worth 10, you're paying 10. Be careful because there's as you will see as we go through this analysis, or if you join me in my courses, you'll see that precise targets can be precisely wrong. You want to have a spread of probabilities around that. Anyway, in this chapter, we cover the concept of PE, right? Going back to screening. Yahoo Finance, your free screener that we've talked about in other chapters and in other videos, lets you go and into the most basic ratio around, which is the price of the stock divided by the earnings that company is producing. These are GAAP earnings, generally accepted accounting principles. Sometimes the companies make adjustments. Management teams make accounting adjustments to this earnings for one-time events. And sometimes, and we'll talk about this, sometimes the adjustments are not necessary or even completely fair. But if you look at PE on McDonald's, right? There's 98 publicly traded restaurants, give or take. You can compare the PE ratio given to McDonald's to the other 97 companies within the United States. Some of them don't have earnings, right? So it'll be a negative ratio, but some of them will have or not meaningful ratio. But this is a clue. This is a yardstick to kind of what kind of comfort people have with the business. In other words, a higher PE could indicate that people are expecting higher earnings, or put another way, a high multiple could indicate that people are paying up for the stability of earnings. I want you to put in your mindset, the idea that earnings as a function of the valuation is like a yield on a bond. In other words, if a company's trading at 25 times earnings, invert that and say 1 over 25, 4%. The company has a 4% earnings yield, right? For those of you who are interested in real estate and even look at the way real estate investors go about it, often they're looking at a yield, right? They're saying a cap rate. Basically, a building is producing $100,000 in net operating income. That building sells for $1 million. In the market, that's 10%. So compare that to McDonald's trading at 25 times earnings, a 4% yield. you need to consider these are really part and parcel of the same thing. The other thing to look at is other companies that other valuation measures that for valuing companies, such as price to sales. Right, price to sales ratio is basically the market capitalization divided by the revenues that a company produces. This is often very helpful, again, for getting a cross-sectional analysis comparing one company to another. Remember, it's not much different, again, from real estate. When you do comp analysis, looking at your house or looking at rental property you own, if your house just sold for $400,000 and the next door neighbor sold a similar house, same size, everything else, for $300,000 a year earlier, that next door neighbor is going to be fairly excited that you got the 33% premium to his or her home. Same sort of thing, right? If you're looking at a price to sales on a company of 0.2 times, and another comparable company is 0.3 times, right? That should lead you to an investigation of what are they overpaying for one or underpaying for another, or are they really that comparable? So these two valuations, price to earnings, price to sales, taken in and of themselves, you could calculate an earnings yield and say, okay, 4% may be appropriate for a very steady earning company, a very established company, or a company that's going to produce a lot of growth, but it may be expensive relative to its comps. So you have comparison to the company itself, comparison to comps. There's a lot just in PE and price to sales to think about. In further chapters and also just in other analyses, I talked to you all about better valuation measures to compare to these two and others, and we'll talk later about that. But this is just a preview of what begins the valuation section, chapter 7 of my book. Would love for you to buy it, and obviously lots more to share, so stick with us, and we'll see you soon.